All right, good morning. My name is Joey DiBenedetto. I am the managing director of sales and growth over at Real Estate Experts here in Silicon Valley. And I am sitting with our expert on fire today. His name is Jide. He is one of the top, not only one of the top agents at our brokerage. In fact, I think the top last year. I don't want to brag for you, but he's also one of the top 1% of agents in the country nationwide, winning an award for the most amount of volume sold in all across the entire nation in our brokerage of side. So I have like a handful of questions that I want to ask you today, but I want to start with the basics, which is why on earth did you years ago, whenever it was, why on earth did you get into real estate?
Joey, thanks for the intro. So for me, I actually got introduced to real estate when I was in college. I did an internship for, I think, just my last year, just to get credits as a senior, outside of class. And it just so happened I had an uncle who was selling real estate, and my dad was like, why don't you talk to your uncle and see if he's willing to hire you, or let you work for free for him, which in the end, I'm sure helped him, now knowing how the business works. But so that's what I did. And I learned about it. That was probably back in 2009 or 2010.
Wow.
I just did some cold calling and just the busiest of busy work in real estate that he let me do. And then yeah, that was it. So I did that for probably 3 months. And then I played soccer and I was done with school. So I played for a while. And 9 years later, I came back and he was still in real estate. So when I came back, I talked to him and he kind of explained to me how the business worked. At that point, I actually understood more about business and how things worked. And right away I was just like, this sounds like it could be a good fit for me. Just the way I think and the way the business works, I thought it could be a good fit. So we started. I got my license, and that's how I ended up in real estate.
That is crazy. So the 3 months of cold calling and doing the busy work didn't scare you away from real estate forever.
No, it didn't. It's my personality, but I actually enjoyed it, just because I saw that that's how you build and that's how the whole thing works. And so it just made it obvious to me that you could do it if you're willing to do the work.
That is amazing. So, okay. So I know for me, when I got into real estate, there was a specific moment when I decided that this was going to be what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
As you look back over your career, can you think of that one moment where you decided that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, definitely. It was when I came back from playing, and I was just getting settled back in the Bay Area, trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to do next? And I met with my uncle, and I had a chance to actually ask him questions about the business, how it worked, how you got paid, just all of it. And once I talked to him, I said, this is a fit for me, because what I realized was it wasn't just about buying and selling homes. It's about investing in properties, and there's so many different ways you can make money in real estate, and also just build a career and go into different things. And for me, that was what was most attractive. So once I learned that and heard about his history in buying and selling for himself, and owning properties and all that, for me was the moment I was like, okay, this is good for me, because I knew it wasn't just one thing where eventually, if it's only one thing, you get bored of it, right? But if you can go off in different directions and learn more and just find different ways to keep yourself busy, for me, it was a perfect fit.
That's awesome. I say this all the time. I say real estate's the best industry because you can get a C- on a test and make $1 million a year. Like it's the only industry where I know that's true.
Right.
Okay, so I understand sort of where you came from, right? You had like a little touch of it back in 2009, which is hilarious. Right after the crash, right when everything was in the dumps, you were out there doing the busy work.
Yeah.
You went and lived basically a whole life and came back to it and realized that it might be a good fit for you. So fast forward to now for me, and you've got a small team. You're really growing your business. As you're growing your team, what are some of the struggles of starting your team or becoming a team leader that you're experiencing now?
That's a good question. And it actually has been a struggle for me because of the way I think. The first thing I have to accept is that not everyone's going to think the way I think. Okay. And because of that, you have to adjust how you work with each individual on your team. And some people are going to get it, some people aren't, and you have to accept that. I think the other thing is building a team requires a lot of structure, and you have to put that structure in place and manage it. For me, I've always been able to manage my own structure within my own life, and making sure that I'm doing what I need to do. But with a team, you've got to make sure everyone else is doing what they need to do. And that's not always easy. All right. So the business itself requires so much discipline and accountability. And if you don't have it from everyone in the team can't be successful. And then you actually lose, you become less successful as a realtor yourself and as a business owner yourself. So I think that's the biggest struggle for me and adjustment for me, is that not everyone has the same motivations that I have. So not everyone, not everyone's going to hold themselves accountable like I hold myself accountable, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I'm going to continue to have to learn. And I think being at the brokerage now with yourself, Joey, and Brett, and some of the advice that you guys have been able to give me, that's helped me a lot, because you guys have all had experience with building teams and managing teams and all of that. Right. And also, obviously, NECA and some of the other top producers in the company have all been able to really help me and just guide me with building a team the right way.
So first of all, thank you. I will take that kudos and bribe it to the bank. But so let me ask you this. So you've got these sort of challenges that you're looking to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something specifically that you can tell me that you've done, that you can tell our listeners that you've done after sort of learning and educating yourself on the growth pattern? What's one thing that you put into place to help sort of fix that problem for you?
Yeah. So first, I think, well, we have accountability. Okay, real accountability. And Joe, you help us with that once a week. And we have, a 50 points sheet that we fill out every day, where we're trying to hit 50 points to make sure we're having enough conversations and doing all the real estate activities that we have to do to make sure that we're trying to grow on a daily basis. So that's the first thing, is just that accountability that we have on a weekly basis. That's not only you help with, but I also help with on every week, to make sure that they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay.
Yeah, there's so much BS in the daily activities that we do as agents that we tell ourselves are great that actually lead to nothing.
For
and
sure.
So it sounds like this tracker that you're using allows us to sort of get through the BS.
Yeah, it does. And it also shows us that everyone has plenty of time. Okay. I like to lead by example. So my goal every week is to show the rest of my team that, look, if I have the time to do it and hit these numbers or double these numbers, then all of you can do the same. Right. So yes, there's plenty of time in the day. It's just about matter of managing the time and doing what we should be doing.
Amen. So you've gone from sort of solo agent or really working with family to solo agent to team leader.
Mm-hmm.
What's the thing, if there was one thing that you could choose, what's the one thing that you've learned in this whole transformation?
I think
I know there's a million things, but if you could,
it's a really good question. But I think for me, the key in our business is that you have to continue to learn all the time. So if you ever think that you know it all, everything just slows down for you, right? So for me, my goal every day is to continue learning, and continue to try and implement the things that I learn into my everyday business, right? So I think if I continue to do that, if I'm always thinking to do that, if my mindset is to continue to learn, everything continues to grow. Okay. But the moment I feel like the issue that a lot of agents have is that you get to this point where you think you know it, and you never really know it. Right. So I was on with my team this morning, and I was telling one of the agents, like, I said to him, I said, look, I consider you a newer agent. I mean, look, and that's no insult. I also consider myself a newer agent. Okay. There's so much to learn all the time. And if you ever feel like you've learned everything, that's when your business is just going to go backwards.
Amen. The business changes. I mean, if it's not changing, you're not growing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because there's got to be something new sitting in front of you in the next 6 months that you didn't have in the previous, to give you the reminder that things are moving in the right direction.
For sure. And then the other thing, Joey, last thing before we go on next, I think, I heard this, I took a lot of classes when I first got into real estate, just in-person classes with different agents who were doing well at the time. And, I got to shout out Rusty Papier. I don't really know him, but I took a class with him, and something he said really resonated with me. And what he said was, like, in this business, the only way you can be really successful is if you become obsessed with the business. Okay. And I think it couldn't be more true, because if you're obsessed with it, you'll do all the activities you need to do to have your success. Right. So, and I think it's a business that requires it. And yes, some people, it's not for everybody, right? Not everybody wants to be obsessed and thinking about their business nonstop, every day of the week. But if you can do that, and if you're obsessed with it, you'll have success.
What's so funny is my last question was going to be, what's a piece of advice that you got from somebody else? It sounds like that was the advice. So let me ask a different question then, which I think will actually be just as impactful, which is, what would you say to somebody who's currently in the shoes you were in when you
Mhm.
started,
Mhm.
and what would be the piece of advice you would give to that person?
Oh, this is such a good question. And it can go in so many different directions. I think and here's the direction I'll go in. What I would have done to grow my business faster when I first started. And
Amazing.
that advice would be to find somebody who's extremely successful and actually work with them. Don't be afraid to join a team. Okay. In this business, you always have to think long term. And by joining a team in the short term, if it's a good team that has the right structure in place, your business long term will benefit. Okay. And this business is all long term, right? So, I was someone when I first started, I just got in it and just worked and worked and worked. And, I called and door knocked and did all those things. But I think looking back, if I would have joined a team and had more opportunity to talk to more people, hold more open houses, get more leads, close more deals, today I'd probably be doing more business than I'm doing right now.
It's time on task over time.
Yeah,
What the team allows you to do is condense the timelines in which you learn and operate and fail at the things
sure,
that you need to learn, operate, and fail at. So
for
I
sure.
think it's a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
So Jide, those are all the questions I have for you. Is there anything else that you want to add to the end of this? You can say no, it's okay. I know that I threw that on you.
I don't have too much more. I think I'm extremely happy with the growth that I've seen in the last year and a half. As the market has changed, I think because of the systems that I have in place and I've learned from the brokerage and the agents in the brokerage, my business has continued to improve. And I think that for anybody who wants to build a business, the idea is to make sure you can build something that's sustainable. And
Yes.
I think the systems that we use allow that to happen. Right. So I don't really care what's going on with the market. I know if we continue to do the activities that we should be doing, we'll still sell homes and we'll still be fine.
I heard a quote the other day that really stuck with me, which is there's only going to be their projection should be only 4 million homes sold this year, which is a significant reduction. And the person said to me, are there enough homes in that 4 million for you to hit your goals? And the answer is there better be. There better be enough homes in that 4 million for you to hit your goals of the year.
Right.
So Jide, thank you so much for taking time with me. Thank you for continuing to pour into not only your business, but others. And if you want to reach out to Jide or you have a question for him, his contact information will be at the end of this video. And it is an absolute honor to be in business with you, sir.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
No worries.